Hey everybody, this is Aaron Lethal from Insanium. I'm here with my other two bandmates, Thomas Diagnardi and John fucking Conway. And we're here to review, we'll do another review of a song, well, actually a whole album this time. It's called The Hail to the King by Avenged Sevenfold. And so far, this album has been, reaching number one pretty much everywhere now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
America, Canada,
Brazil, Mexico.
Yeah, so apparently this album is being liked by a lot of people, but we're gonna give you what we think about it.
My face is so illuminated, but
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
You look like an angel.
I do.
All right, so who's gonna start first with the discussion?
I'll start.
All right, I know you will.
Well, should we just your general opinion, like all of our general
I think
opinions?
yeah, and then we'll do a track by track thing or something. Okay. Well, I am a huge fan of Avenged Sevenfold. I always have been. I got into them around when City of Evil came out. They were in the back of my mind for a while, but I kind of really got back into them after the self-titled came out, and I've known their whole discography since then. Like, I've learned countless songs by them on guitar. They've always been a huge inspiration. What I always loved about Avenged Sevenfold is that no album sounds the same, but in a good way, because they're always changing their sound, and they're always, doing things that none other band can really do. Like, a lot of bands, would be like, oh, this album sounds very Avenged Sevenfold influenced. Like, Asking Alexandria on their new album just said, it sounds like Motley Crue meets Slipknot meets Avenged Sevenfold, and it's impossible to hear a lot of Avenged Sevenfold influence in things because Avenged Sevenfold is so good at what they do and they're so unique with how they present it. Now with Hail to the King, I know what they tried to do with the whole. They wanted to kind of take it a step back and make it very riff based and groove based, and I appreciate that because I do like older metal like Black Sabbath, obviously Judas Priest, but I feel like it wasn't something Avenged Sevenfold pulled off as good as they can if they didn't do that. I think if this song was for example, some of the songs sound very Metallica, like a song sounds very Guns N' Roses, like you could hear a very Iron Maiden influenced song, and I think the whole thing that I always liked about it, Avenged Sevenfold, is that you really couldn't hear their influences too much in their songs. Like they sounded like their own thing, and I think this album sounds like it's good. It's a good album, I think. It's not. I think it's their weakest, though. And, I'm not a fan of Sounding the Seventh Trumpet, but I think it did a lot for them, so I think overall this is the weakest album, but it's still pretty solid, and it does have some songs that I do really like, and I think will hold, hold through time, but it's, that's my opinion. I think it was just, they could have made a better album.
Well, what time?
Yeah.
It's weird because obviously I'm also a huge fan of Avenged Sevenfold. And based on the hype that was surrounding this record, and before anyone could hear what it sounded like, they would say things like, "Oh, we're taking a step back. We're trying to really get a more classic kind of influence. We're listening to all these." They would name old artists like Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin, and we're trying to emulate what they were doing. We want to make a really classic album.
Yeah, they were saying that what they did was they went back to old anthemic classics and listened in the sense of what makes this a great song, and I guess what they realized is the whole groove based and riff based thing.
Yeah, so that really had me worried because it sounded like they were forcing something out that wasn't in them, basically, that they didn't have in them. So I was really skeptical, especially when the single came out, and still I'm not really crazy about the single Hail to the King. But when I listened to the album, I was actually really pleasantly surprised. I really enjoy listening to it. What I would say I don't like about it is that it does sound really familiar at times. It sounds like I've heard a lot of this before. But still, I don't think it's enough to take away from the quality that some of the really good songs have, in my opinion. Like Requiem, and I really like Coming Home and Crimson Day and Planets and Acid Rain, those songs, and even Shepherd of Fire. I really like all those songs a lot, and I don't think those ones really sound familiar. So I really like the album, but I don't think it's going to be the album that Avenged Sevenfold wanted it to be. I don't think it's going to really stand the test of time. I don't think it's going to be an album that people in the future are going to look back and say, "Oh wow, that did something for metal, that did something for music." I think it's just an
the next
average.
step in the Avenged Sevenfold.
I think it's just like an average
timeline.
album in that sense, that it's just kind of, you know, sort of be forgotten about a little bit in a few years.
In my opinion about this album, it's like I don't hate it, and it's like I can appreciate the album. Like I knew what they were like. How we all said, I knew what they were going for. They were going for that old school sound. And they definitely did that, but like I think like they did that too much. It's like they went too old school. It's like they don't have. It's like I wasn't hearing Avenged Sevenfold.
Exactly.
I was hearing like somebody who's like a cover, like a tribute band to like old thrash metal bands or regular heavy metal bands and everything like that. And like in all honesty, there's like only 2 songs on the album I actually like, and that's "Hail to the King" and "Requiem." Like the only 2 songs I like on there, and it's like it was so like it was really disappointing because I felt like this album was about like as impactful as Diamond in the Rough or whatever. It's like those two like on the same level. At the moment I think right now Nightmare is like probably probably one of the best things they have right now. Right under that is City of Evil and Wicked and Fallen. At least that's my list. But it's just like when I was listening to that earlier, it was from like start to let's say mid finish, I was able to listen to a song and then think of another song that another band did, right, and just put those 2 names together. Like that's how simple it got for me. It's just like they were really biting a lot of the old school sound, but like it got to the point where it just sounded like another band altogether.
Yeah.
Now, the thing was, I didn't feel that way for every song. Like I only felt that, like, to get specific, during like "Doing Time" sounds like Guns N' Roses.
"Doing Time."
That sounds like Guns N' Roses.
Worst song they ever written.
No, "Doing Time" sound like to me.
Well, we're gonna do a track by track.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so we'll start with "Shepherd of Fire," right?
"Shepherd of Fire" is the first song.
Yeah.
Just kind of make it brief.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's an alright song. It's not bad. I can listen to it, but it does feel a bit boring to me and a little bit lacking as a first song. Avenged Sevenfold always had that first song, we're gonna punch you right in the fucking face. Like Unholy, well, Wake in the Fallen was technically the first song, but that was more of an intro. Like Unholy Confessions, Beast and the Harlot, Critical Acclaim, Nightmare. They all just like, bam, this is our new album, fuck you. Shepherd of Fire kind of eased you onto the album.
Yeah, I like that though. I like the like eeriness of the beginning, and I really like the chorus. The main riff isn't all that great. It's okay, it does its job, but it's not like fantastic or anything. I enjoy the song.
I enjoyed it, but I agree with John. Like it wasn't like as in like
it's definitely not like a punch you in the face kind of song, and it's a different kind of intro for them.
Yeah,
but I still like.
Well, it's not that different because I heard like intros like same riffs like that on "Diamonds in the Rough" or whatever. I can't remember which song. I think it was like something a little bit similar to like "Dancing Dead" or whatever. Like it was very similar riff pattern going on there.
I don't know about that, but it's I understand with the verse. Like that part kind of reminded me a little bit of Dancing Dead. All right, "Hail to the King." I think it was a good single. Definitely, like I think it introduced the album pretty well, and I actually liked it. Like I liked that song. And when it was released, I was skeptical at first because I'm like, I don't like this whole simplistic thing. But that song, like, it still kind of sounded like classic Avenged, the way they presented the chorus and the vocal melodies, like, for the verse, and Sin's awesome guitar solo in that song. And I think that was a good song. It was definitely the best choice for a single. Mm-hmm. And I think that it will be one of the more known songs on the album, like, probably over time. But I think it's definitely one of the strongest songs on the album.
I think it's... it has good parts, but I just think it's so boring overall.
No.
That song is catchy as hell.
Yeah.
Like it's a great it's a good single, right?
It stays in your head.
I like the chorus.
But that's just it, right? It just that chorus just stays in your head. It's like you don't have to like the song like all together, but like that like once you listen to it like a few times, that chorus is gonna stick in your head. So like they definitely delivered on the the catchiness or whatever. That's about it. Like I just think it's a very catchy song.
One thing that I noticed with this album that M Shadows has been doing with some of the vocal melodies is a lot of the words he kind of cuts off shorter than he usually does. Like in "Hail to the King," like they come to take all your rights, and he like cuts off really short. Right. I noticed that on a couple songs, and that really irks me. And I'm like, he could have like made that note awesome or something, and I noticed that particularly on the song Hail to the King. And that was really the only thing, like, I mean, I don't want to sound like that's the only line that bothered me, because it doesn't matter that much, but, like, it kind of, like, gave off that vibe of, like, M Shadows trying to achieve a more simple tone.
Alright,
Doing time.
Oh! That song!
Alright, honestly, I think this is a terrible excuse for
Oh!
the song. I think it is easily the worst song they've ever made, and I think it sounds like Guns N' Roses bar none. Like, M Shadows
Fucking,
is
it
screaming,
reminds me
like,
of
singing.
goddamn freaking Rebel Yell from Billy Idol.
I
No,
agree
I
with
don't
you
need that.
guys.
I think it does, man.
I was
And
listening
also,
to
the main riff is Night Train's main riff in a different key. Like, it's,
I would, honestly, my opinion on it has changed a little bit. I still don't really like it, but I think if it was by another band, I wouldn't mind it as much. Like,
Yeah.
That
it's
is not
really,
like Avenged.
it's really not
It's
that bad of a song, but it just doesn't sound like them at all.
Yeah.
That's what pissed me off about it. Just, I was like a parrot if I was.
It really just sounds like a ripoff of a Guns N'
really,
Roses song.
I've never been able to say that I hate an Avenged Sevenfold song until, like,
I hate that song.
I truly hate
I don't
this
give a
song. I think
fuck.
it's terrible. I think. Anyway, this means war, also known as Said But True.
Sad but true.
But
Yo, Metallica fucking killed that song.
no, honestly, like, I mean, it does have its similarities. I think the verse is alright. I think the
It definitely
pre-chorus
has
is really.
similarities. The first
I
fucking word.
I know. Even like the way he phrases the verses, like almost.
Hey!
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
90% similar to James Hetfield phrasing the verse to Said But True. I think the pre-chorus is pretty cool, but that chorus, oh my god.
This means war!
I like it.
They could have made a so much better chorus, and that could have been a great
I guess
song.
I see what you mean. How the chorus is a little irritating hearing that same thing like a few times.
Like, it's Avenged Sevenfold. They always had awesome choruses.
Honestly, I'd rather they just.
And this lacks so
I'd rather
much
they just cover
substance.
Sad but True. You
and
know?
honestly, I don't care that much that it sounds like Said But True.
I did at first, but, like, it is a different song, and the pre-chorus is different. I can see that, but
the verse is
yeah,
so.
I know.
The verse is
I know.
so
The verse is
hard.
exactly the same, but like the chorus is what really bugs me about that song.
Guarantee somebody out there on YouTube, thanks to power of technology, they will make like a
Mix.
a mashup of This Means War and Sad but True.
Yeah.
For somebody watching this right now, they're probably gonna do like, oh my gosh, you did it right now. What was I thinking this whole time? They're gonna do that. Watch, and then I'll I'll be like the first person on YouTube, right? Come like first, called it, like it, share it, like I told you so.
The next song is Requiem, I believe.
My favorite song on the album.
This is one of my favorite songs that they've done.
I think it's definitely a great song. I think it's definitely one of the strongest songs on the album. It hits hard. But the only problem I had with it, well, it wasn't really a problem, but like they released a little preview for it, and I was kind of expecting something a lot more. Because what they usually do with their song, like this is like every album has that weird song, you know, like A Little Piece of Heaven on the self-titled. Like like I expected it to have this all like twist, like to be a really long song, all these like twisted things happening, like nothing really sounding similar to each other. But the whole song kind of follows that one melody. And that irked me at first, but the more I listened to the song, the more I grew to like it, and I think it's a great live song because I've seen the videos on YouTube, and I think it is definitely a pretty strong song.
I think it's really.
I think
really
they could
awesome.
like make that like an encore type of song because I honestly think it hits that hard.
It's just like so epic.
And I can I hear that they were doing a bit of a Led Zeppelin type of thing
You're right.
on.
It has that like cashmere like 3/4
and with like
over the 4/4
riffs like
drums
that,
kind of
like
thing.
I love riffs like they kind of like rip off Cashmere a little bit. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's like if any band can rip off any riff that I'd be happy with, it'll be Cashmere. Riff. You know what I'm saying?
Crimson Day.
Crimson Day. I honestly like Avenged Sevenfold has a thing for writing kick-ass ballads like Seize the Day. Dear God.
You know what I noticed,
Seize the
though?
Day, Crimson Day.
You know what I
So
noticed,
far
though?
away. I think Crimson Day.
Pale Ron.
You know what I noticed,
Except
though?
for Dear God, but I think
Oh, yeah.
Crimson Day is definitely a strong ballad, and the vocal melodies are great.
Those ballads, though, the ones that they've been releasing, they all sound like the same to me.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do. Like,
I don't think so.
Seize the Day, So Far Away, Crimson Day, Dear
rhyme,
God,
but-
they all like a very like similar ballady sound to them. You know what I'm saying?
I guess, but they don't sound the same. At first, they do. Like when I first heard Crimson Day, it didn't stand out.
It's like
to me
they
at
all have that. They all have that country.
But I think,
feel.
and I like how this song, like I like how
I don't
their
know if I agree
ballads,
with that.
I mean, with the exception of Dear God and Sort of Seize the Day, I guess. I like how, like, their ballads usually aren't about love. Like, So Far Away, yeah, I guess it was about love, but it was about missing Jimmy and, like, his legacy. And Crimson Day,
Isn't it
I was
about, like,
reading,
his
it's
son?
about the birth of M.
M.
Shadow's
Shadow's
son.
son.
And I think it's definitely a very catchy song. I think the chorus is great, and I just think it's one of the strongest songs on the album.
Yeah, I like that one too.
What comes next?
Heretic?
Heretic.
Heretic.
Heretic is
I want
okay.
to talk about this song.
I don't have an opinion
This
about that song.
M. Shadows described it, or I think it was Sin, as the bridge between Nightmare and Hell to the King. It
Mhm.
has that taste of old Avenged Sevenfold, and being it's in melodic minor, apparently. I don't know theory
Harmonic.
for shit. It's in harmonic minor.
I think that's
I
what
remember
it
M.
means.
Shadows saying it was in melodic, but I don't know shit about theory. But he did make a good point of making it almost sound like it's in a haunted house. Like, it's got that, like, cool vibe, and it definitely does sound a tad bit more like old Avenged than the rest of the songs.
Yeah.
And I think I really like the chorus.
I think the chorus is weak.
Oh,
I
love
like the
chorus.
rest of the song. The chorus, when it gets to the chorus, I'm like, like I'll like I want to
Meh.
switch the song now.
What's your opinion on Heretic?
I actually don't have an opinion on it.
Yeah, it's for me. It's kind of like a
It's there.
yeah. It's there. It doesn't really do anything for me.
All right,
Coming home.
Coming Home.
Coming home. I really like.
I liked it
know
at
it
first.
sounds. I know it really sounds like Iron Maiden. It literally sounds
It
like
does.
a
It sounds
song
like a
that
song
Iron
Iron Maiden
Maiden
could-
would do.
And I'm a huge fan of Iron Maiden. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, but like, it's like I don't know. I feel like it's a song that when I first listened to it, I was like, oh, this is fucking awesome. Like, this is the coolest shit ever. But it sticks out like a sore thumb on the album because it doesn't really fit their vibe at all. Like, it sounds like it's a totally it sounds like its own thing. And when I think of the
guess.
album as a whole, I always forget about Coming Home because I think of more of like
The old school Coming.
like the way the album blends together, and I feel like Coming Home just comes out of nowhere, and it is a good song. I really like that, like, talisman-y Iron Maiden kind of like vibe
Yeah.
for the verse, and I don't like the chorus. I think the chorus is incredible.
Oh, I love the chorus.
Oh, the chorus,
I think
But
I
the
like
verse
really.
is awesome.
I really enjoy. Like, I could say that it sounds like Iron Maiden and all this stuff that I don't like it, but the bottom line is, like, I love listening to that song when it comes on.
Yeah. Planet. Well, do you have an opinion on Coming Home?
Probably it's gonna be the same as yours. It sounds like Iron Maiden, but it's like it's not. It's another their song to me.
For me, it stands out a little more.
Planets. I think that this song was a great idea gone terribly wrong. I
Yeah.
think that M. Shadows did say that it's a song that everyone's gonna hate when they first hear it, but it will grow on them and it will become the song that everyone skips to. And I kind of do see the potential for that a little bit. Every part is really good, but the way it flows is really...
That's what it was for me. At
It
first,
doesn't
it was.
flow, and like that chorus sounds epic the first time you hear it, like the planets collide. But like that was terrible.
Collide!
But like it's not a good song. Like it sounds very
Oh.
weak. It's
No, I
think
disagree.
it's easily the filler of the album.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't agree with
No,
that.
I'll-
I
I'll
think
feel her.
it's
Not
kind of
filler.
weird at first, but the more I listen to it, the more I really like it, and I love like the imagery it draws up.
I don't
me.
think it has
Friggin'
imagery. I
Doing
think the
Time
only-
to me would be the filler.
Well,
of that
yeah,
album.
but they're playing that live. I know.
No.
That's what I mean. I wish Doing Time
They
was
are?
the filler. Yeah. They literally only play the first 5 songs in the album live. I'm serious. That's the only songs in the album they play
But
live.
Planets is really cool. I love
No.
the brass,
Nope.
and
I think the only
it
good
just sounds like what it's talking about.
the
to
only
me.
good imagery I think of that song is the title. Like I think it has an awesome title. Planets like ooh
the
mysterious.
brass section though. It just sounds like war to
It's such
me.
a weak song. And Acid Rain.
I don't think that was a good closing of the album. Like
I liked it.
I like it.
I like Acid Rain. It
It's
sounds
like
jazzy.
I was so
I really like it.
I was so
actually.
used to hearing like "Save Me" as a closer and a little piece of
Well,
you
no, Little Piece of Heaven's not the closer.
I know, but it's like it's songs like my thing is about Avenged Sevenfold. I feel like their last song or like whatever album they have should at least like I feel like from the live videos that I've seen, I've never seen a Avenged Sevenfold show live, but from what I've seen though, it's like I feel like that last song, whatever album it would be an encore or whatever. Like they would have that one song on like.
I
yeah,
see
they
what you
do.
mean.
They have played "Save Me" a couple times towards the end of the set, and it was really
So
cool.
it's just like to me, Acid Rain was just not the song to do it for me. It didn't give me that punch that a last song should have, which is something I really don't like about some bands. Like they release new albums, like they don't have that really impactful last song or whatever.
Mm.
Like
that song grew on me. The
Like,
more I listened
I think
to
it has really like tight lyrics, and I think it's very like I like the bluesy aspect of it, and I think it's definitely like it almost has like a happily creepy but
It's
kind
too
of sad vibe to it. Like
it's
it's
too
weird.
soft for me. Like if I had to put like a song like last whatever out from that album, I would put Requiem at the end of it, in my opinion. But it's like recently I heard this one bit. You guys, I'm talking about Flesh God Apocalypse. They released like this album called Labyrinth, right? And like Labyrinth happens to be like the last song on the album. I would think, oh my god, this is it. It's like the kick-ass song, the whole album. But it's like this long instrumental piano piece, and I'm like, my dick went from this to this, like within those minutes or whatever. It's just I don't like when.
So that's your like you like albums ending on like a impact like a
Yeah,
punch.
and Acid Rage did not do it for me. It was like that.
Yeah, I think "Save Me" was the best. I think "Save
Yeah.
Me" is one of the best Avenged Sevenfold songs ever written, and I think it was an excellent closer to Nightmare. Easily the best song on Nightmare. And
Yeah, I disagree with everything you just said.
Fuck
Honestly,
you.
but we're not talking about Nightmare.
all right, so that's our review for Hail
Well,
to
quick 10 out of
Oh,
out
St.
of 10.
James.
Oh,
yeah.
St. James.
I love St. James.
Yeah, that is a good song. I think it like as M Shadows put it, it's like
Celebrating.
The light. It's like
yeah,
the light
like
to the
so-
darkness of so far
Mhm,
away, and it kind of celebrates Jimmy's life. And I do like that song. I think it's very good. It's very well put together, and it should have fucking made it on the album. How does a song like "Doing Time" make it on?
Yeah.
the
I
album?
don't fucking know.
Avenged
Yeah.
Sevenfold
That
album
song does not
and
exist to me.
St. James.
If I ever see Avenged Sevenfold live, I'm gonna walk out during doing time. I'll come back after it's done. I'll have like the fucking stopwatch on and everything just to make sure I don't walk in on one single note.
But quick, out of 10, what would you give the album?
I give it a 5 for average.
I'd say there are 5, maybe a 4.9, more towards 5.
I would say 8. I give it an 8 out of 10.
I would have given it like a 4 or whatever, but Requiem is like saving it right now in my opinion.
Requiem, Hail to the King, Heretic, Crimson Day. There are some good songs on the album, in my opinion. At least everyone has their own opinion. Some people like that I've talked to are like, "Oh, it's their best album," because like I talked to some people that said they love the album because they love Metallica and they like that similar sound. But like, just in my honest opinion, like it's not what Avenged Sevenfold has. Like, I'm all for change, and Avenged Sevenfold was always all for change. All their albums sound totally different from each other, but I think it was a step in the opposite direction. It was kind of backtracking
I
instead
see
of
what you're
moving
saying.
forward.
I
And
see what you're saying.
I just think it could have been done way better, and there could have been a much better sophomore album to Nightmare.
Okay.
All right, so that is it. Thank you all for taking this time to listen to us rant and ramble about Hail to the King. If you like what you see, or whatever, like, subscribe and everything like that. And then leave a comment of what other albums out there you guys want us to review and such. And yeah, we'll bring more videos like this, and take care. Again, we are Insanium, and we're...
Bye now.
You have to stop the video. We can't just pose and expect it to end.
Oh, sure we can. Like, All right, fine. 1, 2... Okay, don't pose.